Where'd I go? I'm disappeared.
Yeah,
What happened?
What happened? What did happen?
I don't know. Weird.
I see you. I see the cat.
Weird.
But I don't see you.
Huh.
Did you get turned into a vampire?
I did. And you're frozen in time.
Am I?
I think we hit a Mandela hole.
Holy shit.
Trademark.
It's trademark. All right, so now you blew it. We had this whole big introduction plan. Not really, because we don't play shit, but yeah. So welcome, Wookie, from Spooky Action Radio Show. Glad you could make it with us today.
Good evening, everybody. How are we all?
What's going on?
So listen, man, I just gotta say, I love the show, dude. I love the show. It's great.
Thank you. We had a lot of fun doing it. It was great, and we met a lot of amazing people. A lot of very talented people with some extraordinary stories. We were so lucky. It was really fun.
Yeah. I mean, some of them were so extraordinary that we've been talking about them all night.
Oh, yeah? Which ones?
Go ahead and ask him. You know you want to.
What?
Go and ask me.
Oh, what about Sandia Crew?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought you were going to ask me. That was cool.
I see. The signal went out somehow, some way.
The Sandia Crew. Okay, what would you like to know about them?
Just what did you take? Because I mean, we listened to that courtesy of you. So I mean, what did you take away from all that? Like,
wow, the Sandia Crew. Well, I tell you what, they are an extraordinary bunch of people. As you listen to the interview, you know that in the first interview, Sifu basically challenged them to turn up in his home.
Really?
And a week later, I get over there, Sifu is looking like a little bit unhappy, and his family's not particularly happy either. And I'm like, what happened, dude? And he says, oh, we've had a bit of a fight. And I'm like, okay, all right, that happens, all right. And I said, so, and he goes, but it was apparently last night, my partner was woken up in the middle of the night by an alien. I'm like, what? And I said, what sort of alien are we talking here? And he goes, like a grey. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, what, was it a tall one, a short one? He goes, like a regular grey. And I said, oh, because last week you did challenge them to come wake you up.
That's racist.
And he just went,
did you just say that was racist?
Yeah, it's racist.
How is that racist?
Was it a small gray? Was it a tall gray? Oh, it's a gray.
That's racist. Yeah, gray's a gray.
Gray's a gray.
Well, next thing you know, they're getting pulled over by the police and shit.
Stereotype. We know you got those.
We know you got a ray gun in there.
Hey, if you don't want to get pulled over, just sit in the car with a grey.
Yeah.
You'll be right. They won't pull you over for that. Well, anyway, so he's like, he suddenly clicks and says, okay, that is what happened, and then explain what happened. And his partner actually grabbed the grey by the arm, and tore off part of the grey's black rubbery suit that it was wearing and kept it. So he's still got that. So, I've been dying to have a look at it.
Yeah, he didn't show you, huh?
No, we were always too busy, and
how are you too busy to show someone the spacesuit you ripped off a gray that was coming to get your wife? I don't get that.
It's apparently it looks and feels like a black wetsuit.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, but the thing is that so the real confirmation happened because he was still kind of like, I don't know if she just made it up or whatever. But we the thing is, the grey was wearing this black wetsuit thing, which is unusual. Whenever you hear greys coming into your house and visiting you or whatever, they're either naked or they're wearing like a silvery jumpsuity thing.
Hey, Wookie,
that's classic. Yeah.
Wookie, give us 1 second. Let me see if we're getting audio problems reported. So let me reset my thing real quick and see what happens. Just give us 1 second. Okay, let's see.
How about now?
Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
hello,
I got
hello.
you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right, great. Hopefully that fixes the audio skipping. They're saying we're getting interference, so hopefully that'll fix it.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, so he reported his partner reported that there was it was wearing a black wetsuity thing. So I thought, well, this is not a normal outfit for a grey. It's not what they generally reported getting worn. So I contacted Sue and said, can you please ask Drudy on the desk to see if she can make some inquiries to find out who visited Seafood. So she says, righto, I'm on it. And then about 15 minutes later, she says, okay, I've talked to Drudy. Drudy said it definitely was one of the Ponti from off the coast of Australia. So I said, well, can you ask Drudy what they were wearing when they came and saw Sifu's partner? And lo and behold, she comes back and she says, the Ponti was wearing a black rubbery type, sort of tight outfit. Exactly matched it.
Wow.
And that just, Sifu kind of, his eyes just opened and he kind of glazed for a few minutes, which happens, and that was extraordinary,
Yeah.
And I just, if you put yourself in their shoes, they're little guys, they're like 4.5 feet tall. They're not strongly built. They are very fragile people, and they might have a lot of technology behind them. But essentially, when you're in a room with a gorilla, you might have a gun with you, but that. If you're like 2 feet away from a gorilla, that ain't gonna save you. They're still gonna tear your limbs off if they want to.
Right, or a kangaroo, whatever.
What's that gonna do besides piss me off?
Exactly, and that's how they feel being in a house with us. You're essentially walking into the gorilla cage, So
That's
I mean, so my wife calls me a gorilla all the time. So. It's not my fault, okay?
You got the name Wookie for a reason, obviously.
So this is a lone Ponti that came into Sifu's house, not knowing these people from a bottle of potatoes, and he went in there and he made contact like he said he would. He basically said, "Look at me, see me," and then did what he had to do and then left. And I thought that little fellow that's just such a supreme act of bravery. I had such respect, So then the story goes on, because I happen to know that Ponti loved chocolate, as any sane person would. So I said to Sue, I said, look, I'm so grateful that Ponti did that. And it did that mainly just for seafood. So I said, look, I'm going to put M&Ms outside, like
E.T.
No,
just for
those are Reese's Pieces.
Those Reese's Pieces, my bad.
They also like Reese's Pieces, but I didn't want to stereotype.
That's racist.
So I put them in a clip seal bag and put them outside. Now at that particular point in time, I was going out to put them in a place where no animals could get them, where they could go find them. And my wife pulled up at that point in time, so I had to drop everything and be domestic. And so I put them I put them up in the bough of a tree that was nearby, so that nothing would get them. I also put a note in the clip seal bag. So I just completely forgot about it. And the next morning I woke up and I suddenly thought, oh, damn it, I was going to do that. And to me, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, regardless. If I've actually committed to doing something, I'm going to do it. So if I've said I'm going to do this for them, I make sure I do it. So I was really kind of angry at myself that I'd done that. But the thing is, I woke up the next morning, I went out, there's the clip seal bag, the note's not in it, the bag of M&Ms is not in it.
Yeah.
And it's just sitting there in the exact same place, wedged into the bough of the tree. And I thought, wow, because I thought at the time, this is for you, the fellow who came and saw seafood. And it had emptied. There was nothing in it. But it wasn't like it had blown out and somehow the bag had gotten washed out or something. It was still in the exact same place in the bough of the tree, just without the M&Ms and the note.
Hey man, we're still having audio issues on the stream, so I'm gonna try one more thing real quick. Are we sounding okay to you?
You sound fine to me.
It's weird.
Everybody in chat says that you
we're
sound
skipping.
fine, but me and Don's audio is clicking in and out. So
Alright, so I'm gonna try this other thing here.
hang on.
Well, that's all right, because like we're currently in the Fourth Reich territory here in Australia, and you're in Cabal territory. So
You're a funny guy. Where the hell is the power button? I don't understand this new mixer.
Once you ask the Google machine, huh?
Hey, government wiretap, why isn't it working?
Wiretap, help!
Wow, do I really not know how to turn my own fucking mixer off? I swear the button was right around here.
That's what she said.
Alright, fuck it, try this.
Testing
Testing
1, 2,
it out.
3.
Is it working now? Are we still skipping?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Everything sounds fine over here. It's just going out on the stream fucked up.
For some reason.
Some reason.
No skipping.
Reasons unknown.
No skipping.
Bloody
I
YouTube.
think it worked.
No skipping? Sweet. We got it. I fixed it. It just needed to reset, guys. It wasn't the Cabal shooting us with lasers.
As far as you know.
Well, maybe they shot us with the laser and that caused the skipping, so I had to reset it to fix
And
it. So
wait a second, aren't the Cabal and the Fourth Reich like the same thing?
Hell no! They are arch enemies.
Really?
Yep.
All right, clue me in on this, because I figured they were all part of the same thing. I figured that the Neocon Cabal was a tool of the Third Reich. Or are we talking about the same Cabal?
Nope.
Still skipping. What the fuck?
My understanding is that Cabal is basically
Oh wait, no, it's still skipping. Great.
is basically the people who are in control of the ICC, that sort of stuff.
Gotcha. And
And they
they're not aligned with Nachtwaffen.
my understanding is that the Germans are considered they're kind of the Cabal are like the banking. What do they call it? The banking mafia,
Cartel.
the cartel. You know, that's all Cabal stuff. As far as the Germans are concerned, the terrestrial people are enslaved to the Cabal, who are kind of like the right hand of like the whoever it is who's controlling Earth. This is what I understand. So like whatever you want to call them, the reptilians or whatever, you know.
The Merovingians, the British royal bloodline.
Yeah. God save the Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of the Queen.
Yes. The Queen.
The Queen. Man, I really don't know what to do with the skipping. I guess after you get off, you know what we could try is just real quick, just get off and back on again.
Yeah, just
you got the time.
close OBS.
Because we have had it all open for an awfully long time, so it might be that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hang on, everybody. We're gonna try restarting OBS, and we'll be back in.
We'll be right back in just a minute.
Ta-ta for now.
Okay, let's give this a shot. Let's see if we're streaming here.
Are we back?
Everything's skipping. We're
Are
back
we
on the
back?
air. So, Wookie.
Yo.
Sorry, before we were so rudely interrupted by the Cabal's laser beams. Let's see if we got audio.
Yep. And we are checking the thing.
Hey, look, man, I think we're doing all right as far as technical difficulties go today. I was expecting much more problems than this, and hopefully this skipping is all better now. Sounds great. Fixed. Awesome. Working good. Nice. Sweet.
We're good to go?
Thank you, guys. Awesome. So we're good
Have
to
you
go.
tried turning it off and turning it back on?
It looks like my camera's off.
Your camera's off?
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
what it looks like.
Yeah, it is. I'll fix that for you.
Oh, shit.
Just give me
Okay.
1 second. See.
Yeah, no worries, no rush.
So, Wookie, before we were
Yo.
rudely interrupted, what were we talking about there?
I don't know,
Sandia
Germans
still?
and the
Germans
cabal.
and the cabal.
But we were talking about Sandia,
Laser-
actually. We
Laser
diverged.
beams. There you
Yeah.
go. You're back, Zach.
Yay!
You got out of jail.
Yay, finally, after 29 days.
Yeah, somebody was like, bet us $5 that he'd been in jail for more than 30 days and they lost. Now they got to set us $5.
You might want to check the restream too to make sure we're still going out.
I'm sure.
So how long have you guys been live for so far?
We've been live for 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
Whoa!
7 hours, 23 minutes.
And this
So-
is a 12-hour megasode, isn't
This
it?
is a 12.
Yes, sir.
And you
Feels
know what?
like we just got here.
Wookie, 5 people. Imagine this. All right, you do what we do, or you have done what we do. Now imagine this:
Yeah.
5 people on Skype, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Me, Dan, Zach, and probably Phantom Spy, all at the same
Yeah.
time. I mean, is that a nightmare or what?
That is a nightmare.
Oh,
The
it's-
fact that we just had issues just interviewing one person on Skype. So
Hey, but with that in mind, man, we're doing pretty good today. I got
Going down in the record books.
Yeah, man.
yeah, you guys are doing really well. Well done.
Aw, thanks.
Thanks, guy.
Hey,
No, for real, it is nice to have the vote of confidence.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that maybe this will help open things up for us and take us places we haven't been to yet.
Yeah, like
that's right.
Pegasus Galaxy.
Yeah, or the hull of a sludge freighter headed towards Arcturus.
Hey, you can afford what you can afford. Dude.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it's all going to the same place.
Maybe you could. Maybe you could hawk your ass to some reptilians or something to get there. I don't know.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
We're going to Arcturus in
I
a
can get
handbasket.
get a shunt installed so into your adrenal glands, so you constantly have a drip of adrenochrome on tap.
So let me ask you this: what was
Yeah.
it like interviewing royalty?
Royalty.
Yeah, the Vampire King.
Oh, the Vampire King. Well, that
What?
look. To be honest, before we met him, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whether or not I was going to meet some weird goth dude or,
Right.
I honestly did not know what to expect, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to approach this with an open mind. Whatever, let's just have fun,
Uh-huh.
And we're sitting at this table waiting for him to turn up, and then we're just talking away, and suddenly this dude's just there. It's like he just stepped out of the air. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, okay, and he he was very friendly, very approachable, but man, did he look weird. I mean,
Was he like pasty or something? I mean, what did he look like? How was he weird?
if you imagine very pale.
Mm-hmm.
He had okay, so tall whites, right? Just to kind of explain what he looks like. And he's not a tall white. I'm just saying that up front.
Right.
But tall whites are very old. But at the same time, they look young from a distance. But when you get up really close to them, you can kind of see they kind of have their skin looks old. It's kind of hard to explain.
Right.
But that's what he looked like.
Like
From a distance, his skin was taut, tight. He was fit looking, But when you get up close to him, his skin looked old. It was kind of weird.
He was,
But yeah, go on.
he was kind of across the street, good looking, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But the most strangest bit was his eyes, and it was bizarre. His eyes, his pupils were the lightest gray I've ever seen, almost white. Now I thought straight away, man, this guy's wearing the best contact lenses. So I just very subtly kind of looked him right in the eye. I was looking for the contact lenses, but he wasn't wearing any. And I said, dude, are you wearing contact lenses? Are those things real? And he goes, no, these is just my normal eyes. And he let me look up close, and no, he wasn't wearing contact lenses. That's what they actually look like. And his pupils were small. like his iris, beg your pardon, his iris was small, like much smaller than I've seen in a like a regular person, you know. Very odd, very odd. So I don't know, you know. I have a theory on what vampires, what they are, but I think it's kind of it's. I think vampirism is part of the nature of souls, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It's something all souls can do. And I think that some souls with particular origins, such as, you know, draconians, they do vampirism just naturally. It's part of their nature. So I think, you know, if such a soul was to incarnate here on Earth, they would just be doing what that comes natural to them.
Right. So now, just to clarify now.
Yeah.
Was the Vampire King like a Dracula type or like an energy vampire type?
Well, he said that that feeding for them is very personal, and he didn't really want to go into it in a great deal of detail.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was something we tried to broach a number of times, but he very politely kind of diverted away from it. So I just can't, I don't know. I never saw any evidence of any kind of blood feeding, but he did mention it a couple of times. So, no, I couldn't tell you. He kind of mentioned at one point that it was a combination of many things, and it depends on the individual. So,
right,
you know, he reckons some just feed off the energy, some like actually like need a physical thing to consume. So,
man, so it seems like it's a hotbed of crazy happenings down there under. Down there under. I haven't been blabbing for 7.5 hours, I swear.
It is a like, we kind of feel like everything happens over in America. Americans talk about all the weird shit that's happening over there. You know, we got this, we got that, we got, right. And so we kind of feel like, you know, Australia's a very boring, non-happening place. But the thing is that Australians don't talk about what happens here. So you've got every second person here has experienced something weirdly strange,
right?
At least once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But everybody just kind of goes, "Oh, that was weird," and then they.
I live in Australia. This is
why. You know, but if our goal here was to basically get people talking about what happens to them here, because once people start opening up, everybody suddenly realized, whoa, wait a minute, this is not a one-off thing that just happened to me. This is commonplace.
Floodgates, you know? Man. Yeah, once they start hearing other people saying the same thing, they're like, whoa, maybe I didn't imagine that.
Yeah, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe this shit actually happened to me, you know? And, yeah, I mean, it is a strange place. I mean, ask the Aboriginals about the weird shit that happens here, because they recorded it all.
Right,
you know?
Yeah, through...
They have different words for things, but you know, it's definitely an interesting place. I mean, we were told growing up that Aboriginals were what would you call it, nomadic people. Mm-hmm. They didn't ever do farming. They didn't ever do permanent settlements, all that sort of stuff. But now I'm starting to find out that there seemed to have been a systematic program in the 20th century of destroying physical evidence of Aboriginal, I won't say civilization, but Aboriginal megaliths. We have Stonehenges all over the place on this side of the country. Had Stonehenges. One of them's not far from where I live. And a Stonehenge is used for telling what time of the year it is, so you can plant crops and pick things up and know when your alien overlords are coming for their dues.
It's coming to eat you.
So you see, it's like if you built a Stonehenge, it automatically means you're at least an agrarian society. You know? So there's a whole lot more to what's going on here. I've been contacted by an Aboriginal elder to the north, not far to the north of where I live, where there's basically what we call the Gympie Pyramid. Gimple's a city up there. It's not a. It's not a.
Not an adjective.
it's the Gimpy. It's kind of leans a little to the left, and doesn't go up very high. It's more like a hill.
But there's a pyramid. There is a full-on pyramid up there. And the thing is that unlike in Egypt, where like the Egyptians have used their pyramids for tourism, so they keep them relatively clear of stuff, and there's also no water there, so nothing grows on them. Here, even though it is pretty dry, like the plants still grow up all over it. No one's been looking after it, so it's there. And the worst bit is right now the Queensland government is in the final stages of getting ready to demolish it to put a highway right through the middle of it.
What the hell?
That's fucked up.
That is, it is. Was just gobsmacked, and we're not hearing about it on the media.
That's because you're not allowed to talk about nothing over there, you crazy king lovers.
wait, it's not on any.
I'm sorry, queen lovers, queen
lovers. Thank you.
No,
thank you.
queen. Like
Queen?
Yeah, queen.
Is that like penguins?
Yeah, something like that. It's the gender neutral master. The gender neutral master. Queen.
So yeah, they're in the process of getting ready to demolish the thing. The people, the Aboriginal people up there who live up there, are currently like trying to go through court, but the media is not willing to look at it. They were going to go through court in November, but it was put off until the new year. So it's given them like another opportunity to get their defense together. But man, if there's a pyramid up there and there are signs of stone buildings and stuff, like what the pictures show that they've taken from up there, then we need to. It's a national heritage site.
Yeah, I would agree. You know what I'd be curious about is, I guess in Indonesia there's all kinds of stuff underwater. I wonder how much stuff is around Australia underwater that hasn't been discovered yet from pre-Ice Age.
I have the exact same opinion. They're in the middle of. See, we got the Gympie pyramids to the north. We've got the Stonehenges and everything to the south. In the rainforest up behind where I live, I came across, it was basically an outcrop from a mountain that's covered in rainforest. Now, hidden in the jungle there are what looks like stone foundations of like a cyclopean wall. You know what I'm talking about? Like the ones, like,
big, massive stone blocks.
Yeah, and like people are walking over the damn thing to get to a lookout. And I was walking along, looking at this thing going, this is not natural, you know, what I'm walking on, you know. But everyone's just like, oh, this is a natural stone outcrop. And no one's willing to look at it.
Right.
I mean, there is so much stuff going here. My mother's best friend from high school used to be the head of classical history at the University of Queensland. Now, they had a woman turn up there with Roman coins that they found.
Wow, that's far out.
You know, there are Egyptian hieroglyphs, lots of Egyptian hieroglyphs to the south, about a couple of 100 kilometers away.
You know, there's rumored to be a place, I think it's in Arizona, that there was a underground cavern that had like Egyptian stuff in there, hieroglyphs and obelisks and stuff on the inside.
Yeah,
it was like
I know they found Viking raiding parties out in the middle of the Midwest. Like the places where Vikings were buried at, like the Missouri River Valley.
And they
Hey, what happens if you're a descendant of the Vikings over there? Do you get native title or?
No, you just get native titled in America. Native title in America is you get genocided.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Well, if you're really lucky, you get casino dividends.
Yeah.
Not just that, but also out in
the
Iowa, I've heard that they found caches of Roman coins literally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but that could have been like someone that had them that buried them there recently.
It's true, but still, though, just the idea of it is fascinating.
It is, though, man.
Now, I wanted to know, have you ever encountered a yowie?
Me? Well.
Oh, wait, hold on. For our American listeners.
That's the Australian
yeah.
Sasquatch.
Australian Bigfoot.
You can just call them Sasquatch, you know. Have I come across them? believe it or not, that the actual capital of Yowie activity in Australia is once again just to the south of where I live in the rainforest,
Nice.
at Mount Warning. And when I was a kid, when I was in primary school, that's elementary school for you guys, we went on a camp down there at the end of the year, and we climbed Mount Warning to the very top. Now, it's not, our mountains are not like your mountains over there. Our mountains are like a kilometer high. Your mountains are like multiple kilometers high.
Right.
But I mean, we're not talking about a snow-capped mountain.
They're gimpy mountains.
They're gimpy. I think you guys would use the word. Hang on, I'm just going to look up my computer here. The American term for it is retarded.
Not anymore. They banned that word, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, all right. So it's not like a giant mountain, but it's pretty big. It's the tip of Mount Warning is the first place to catch the morning sun in Australia each day. So we climbed the top of Mount Warning, and the best bit is it's like an old volcanic plug, and it is virtually conical, fairly steep, pointed. Once you get to the top of it, you actually find that there is a flat plateau at the top that's about 10 meters in diameter, and it's just like a sheer drop off all the way around. And we climbed it. We went up there to watch the sunset, and when we were up there, we couldn't see anything. It looked like we were up. There was just happened to be a cloud up there while we were up there, so we all kind of got disappointed. Mm-hmm. While we were standing up there wondering if the cloud was going to clear, we heard some really strange calls. Like they weren't any calls that we were familiar with. They kind of sounded like people were whooping and hollering, you know. So we thought, oh, there must be a couple of like tourists or something, maybe Americans or something, you know. Basically, you know.
I mean, were they looking for oil? Were they loaded up with guns? And so we thought, oh, it must be some tourists or something halfway up the mountain, busy, like, you know, calling out, you know, like just trying to echo off the far mountains or something, you know. So we didn't think anything of it. We gave up. We climbed back down the mountain. When we got back down to the bottom of the mountain, we looked up at the top, thinking it was going to be overcast. Clear day, nothing, not a cloud in the sky. And we thought, wow, how unfortunate is it that there just happened to be a cloud up there when we were up there? So we had another team at the bottom that didn't go up, that was just basically sitting there having afternoon tea, that just watched us, you know, just because they decided they weren't going to go. And we said, you know, oh, it's a real shame we couldn't see anything because there was a cloud over the mountain when we were up there. And they said, there was no clouds. It's been like cloudless, like blue sky, not a cloud in sight for the whole day. And we thought, that's weird. There was definitely a fog over the top of the mountain. We couldn't see anything. And we said, you know, it would have been nice up there, except there's a whole bunch of tourists that were like yelling out and screaming and stuff, you know. And they said, no, we've been sitting here at the bottom of the mountain the whole time. No one else has gone up. You guys have been alone on the mountain the whole time. So we were like, what the hell?
Yeah. That's
and
far out.
apparently that Sasquatch do like find kids interesting. You know, they do try to call out to kids. They do try to. So
You think Sasquatch is into the adrenochrome?
I hear that there are different races of what we call Sasquatch, because Sue's actually asked a lot of questions about them. She actually has they have a convention up at I forget, it's in the northern parts of the United States, maybe Washington State or something like that. I'm going to be there next year. I'm going to be going to it. And so she like has talked to the Ponte a lot about Sasquatch, and she's actually using the same method of communication, talk to Sasquatch and learn a lot about their culture. And what she's learned about them is that there are a number of different races which we would call Sasquatch. They're not all the same. And some of them are spacefaring, come from other places, all that sort of stuff. Some of them choose to live a much simpler life, you know, a very basic sort of Stone Age kind of existence, you know. Mm-hmm. Now, the ones here in Australia, we have two different distinct races of them. We have ones that have got like a peaked head, kind of like a gorilla head, and we have ones that have like a round head, like what we have, you know. And apparently the peaked head ones are very intelligent, gentle creatures, technological. People will report seeing them getting on and off spacecraft, all that sort of stuff. You got round-headed ones here that are reddish in color, and they are reported as killing people, hanging their body parts up in the trees to dry out.
Oh shit!
You know, yeah. So you really want to
metal.
know which territory you're in.
right.
The round-head ones tend to come from out in the more arid regions, more isolated areas, such as if you guys look up the Pilliga princess, that's what they call them. There's definitely a population of these round-headed ones in the Pilliga, which is in northwestern New South Wales. And the peaked-headed ones come from around this area here. So we were pretty safe. But, yeah. So there are different races. So, yeah, I mean, really interesting.
So, you know, over the course of doing your show there, you guys would actually go on site to do a lot of your interviews, right?
Absolutely.
All right,
Love
so
that.
what was the craziest thing you guys ever ran? It's just like oh, why?
The craziest thing we ever interviewed? Or?
Like the craziest thing that ever happened while doing an interview. And if you ain't got one of them, the craziest content.
Okay, yeah, all right. When we were interviewing, now you guys have heard of the Westall 66 incident here in Australia, down in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Did you watch that episode? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So basically, mass sighting, literally hundreds and hundreds of people saw it. Teachers, school students, kids getting abducted. They landed in a school, they took people, okay? Now, we interviewed, I think his name was it Darren Wise? I think his name was. So he was the first child to see the craft that landed, and he had physical contact with them and everything. So we interviewed him. Now, we saw one of his drawings of the craft that landed. Now, here's the weirdest bit. Now, he described them as being like tall greys and all that sort of stuff. Oh no, hang on. He described them as being like small people. Now, here's the weird bit. His drawing of the craft that they landed in. You know what they look like? The craft are almost perfect sketches of Honolulu.
Really?
Holy shit.
Honey, I say honey, you say boo. Honey.
Boo.
Hey, it worked. Wow, that's pretty crazy.
So while we were interviewing him, right, like he said, oh, look, I generally have technical issues, like when I'm getting interviewed about this stuff. And we had yacked to him, like I made contact with him long before we did the interview, had to talk to him, make sure he wasn't a spoon, you know, just to check out whether or not he would interview well or not, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
And we had a grand old yak on Skype. Everything was great. His connection was awesome, all that sort of stuff. The day came for the interview, and the shit hit the fan. I mean, his Skype wasn't working. He couldn't pick it up. He wasn't receiving my call. I tried calling him. It wasn't receiving. Then once we actually got it working, his sound was just disappearing. We could see him on the video, but there was no sound coming through. And then, it was insane. Finally, we disconnected, reconnected, restarted, started. Finally got it working, right? Then, in the middle of, we're about 10 minutes in, all of a sudden outside we start hearing, and we're like, what the hell? It's a helicopter outside. We go stick our noses out the door, and we got this black helicopter like circling us at low altitude with this dude, like this guy sitting out, you know, the way they sit out the door with their legs hanging out, with something in his hands, just looking straight at us.
Really?
And he told us, you know, like, it's not uncommon for him to get helicopters just hovering over his house, just looking at him. And we thought, oh yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah. Hey, just checking in.
and so when we're doing this interview, like, Sifu starts getting like irritated because he's really big about sound quality, right? And he's like, this damn helicopter's screwing up our sound. So he's like, we go and we pause the interview, go outside, and like there's this helicopter freaking circling us, like a classic black helicopter,
Right.
And so like he's standing there and he's like, I can't freaking believe this. Yeah. And so we just stood there for a while staring back at him, and then we just waved. I just waved at him, and said, "Hey."
I'm gonna contact this guy.
The guy didn't look very impressed on the helicopter.
Right.
It's like, hey, you're ruining professionalism, man. I'm trying to look angry and serious.
He's like, man, I gotta come out here for this. What are these people doing?
Two dudes in singlets and boxer shorts busy like waving at me.
We're just trying to do a podcast.
Do you want to come down for a beer? Just land in the park over there, okay? It's hot.
Man.
But
you know what I found funny about that episode was when the guy described them, he said that they had hair. And it was just like it's a mental image I got. It was just a funny mental image, man. I was like, wow, that's crazy. He described the aliens that came out of the ship at the school with hair. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, man.
Bad
So maybe like
they had hair, but it wasn't great hair or something.
Yeah, it was something weird. It was like predator hair or
some sort of gray Terran combo.
It was something real weird, man. It just gave me this really weird visual.
But when I saw the drawings he did of the craft, like they're Hanabu,
Right.
And I'm like, maybe they were using like a screen or something, because the kids all seem to have different descriptions of the people.
I was just getting ready to say that because, you and I both deal with this kind of stuff a lot, and that's something that comes up quite often is screens, especially when you're talking about telepathic entities.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, that's another story. But yeah, so that's I couldn't help but feel that maybe like he was given the suggestion to see a classic like an alien, and his little 6-year-old imagination came up with this,
Right.
It just like my understanding is it works like when you dream. You have like your memory, your mind sort of creates a story, and your imagination kind of fills it in.
Right.
My understanding is it works kind of the same way. You get told, you're going to remember this as seeing aliens, and so your brain kind of just creates whatever image of aliens it deems as being aliens,
So what you're putting forth is that it was actually the Germans. The Germans.
Yeah, the Germans. Yeah.
The Germans.
So.
Then pretty interesting.
Antarctic Germans. Neusfabians.
Swabians. Swabians.
Swabians. We come from Swabia. Yeah. So
that's the thing. If you did run into German ETs or off-worlders from Das Bundis, then they could just say, "Oh yeah, we're German tourists," and you wouldn't know anything.
You wouldn't have a freaking clue. Yeah. And by the way, between you and me, we get a lot of German tourists around here.
Show me the sausage, yeah? Point me to sausage.
Good. They always go, "Good day, mate."
Oh, yeah?
Just don't try, dude. I would like to throw a shrimp on Sapapi.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
I guess it's time for everyone to take a shot because Penny Bradley's gonna be pissed off with your German pronunciation.
Wookie, I didn't tell you. You had Penny on your show, so Wait, she comes up all the time. Our guests always bring her up, or me and Dan say something about
Penny,
her.
yeah.
And so, like, today we decided to make a drinking game. And,
Awesome.
Yeah, so, like, anytime someone says her name today, you got to take a shot. So whoever's alive at the end of it, they win a sticker.
Do you have to say her whole name? Do you have to say her whole name, or
just Penny.
So if I was to say Penny, 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 Penny,
Oh, fuck.
Oh man! Hey, but earlier she called in, so like I had to amend the rules to you got to drink a whole bottle now.
Man, I have to work night shift tonight, so it's just not going to happen for me.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
man.
I can't join in this one.
It's okay.
I will.
We get out of here at midnight, and I have to work at 6 in the morning.
Oh
so.
my gosh! I'm so glad
Man, you're
I'm off tomorrow.
hardcore, dude. Are you still working at the mini mart or whatever? It is?
No, I'm working at the extra super mini mart.
Can we give a shout out to everybody living in the area to go down and see Dan tonight?
Go see Dan over there at the Wah.
Hey, that was a great ad you guys did.
You didn't know they sponsor our show.
No, did they sponsor your show?
Yeah,
No.
indirectly, because Dan gets a paycheck from them that he spends it on the show.
Oh, well, close enough.
All right. Well, look, it's been great chatting with you, man, but we're up on the break, so we're going to have to jump.
Alrighty, it's been fantastic talking to you guys, and you guys do a great job. I love your show. Keep
We
it up.
love yours too,
Appreciate it,
man. And we'll definitely have you back on.
So, if you want to check out Spooky Action Radio, you can do it at podbean.com. That's it, right?
SpookyAction.podbean, SpookyActionRadio.podbean.com.
There it is. Bam.
You
You
can see it on the Facebook page too. So.
Yeah, on the Facebook, and we also are hosting a playlist of a few of them on our channel here on YouTube. So, bam. Thanks, Wookie. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.
Be safe down there, man.
You have a
Stay
good
cool.
day, sir.
All right. So, you know what time that means this is now? It's God damn, it's too. I can't. Hour 8 coming up. So,
What were you gonna
giveaway
say?
time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So
Dan,
we're doing a giveaway.
There you go. You do
So,
it.
oh,
God damn it.
So, yeah, what's it? First person to send us an email, realitybrief@gmail.com, you get a sticker. Again, if you're outside of the country, maybe Canada, because shipping to Canada
Yeah,
doesn't...
but be
we can-
prepared to take 3 weeks to get it.
Yeah, it's got to go through customs. They got to make sure there's no nano chips in the sticker and whatnot. So,
No wiretaps.
For tracking purposes.
Yeah.
We like to keep track of our analytics. Yeah.
make sure we're not trying to mail, disguise a sheet of LSD under a Pepe sticker and mail it across the border. So,
Jesus.
Oh, man. All right, so we will see you on the other side of the break, and we'll be jumping off for our space program roundtable.
that's realitybrief@gmail.com. Or if you really want to win big, you can give us a call after the break, 757-528-8130.
Don't do that. Don't listen to him.
Don't
he
listen
doesn't
to
know
him.
what he's talking about.
I
Don't
don't.
call us because I'm not going to answer it. We got things going on that we can't call.
You're
we
right,
can't talk.
we do. Oh, shit. All right. Well, then drop us a line in chat then. But if you want to win the sticker, realitybrief@gmail.com.
Or facebook.com/realitybrief.
Yep.
Put it back in your pants. Space Jesus sees everything.